Prologue to the Dilla Tales by Tex Carroll. Rounder M.A. Dilla was born, as best as anyone knows, to a Texas drover and a girl named Jenny Ann in the 1870s. Not much else is known about his life except that he lived most of it somewhere around the Pecos River. Rounder M.A. Dilla returned to peace and to the sands of West Texas sometime about Christmas Day in 1942. I came to know of this man by chance. A few years back, I bought an old trunk at a flea market in Castroville, Texas. It sat in my basement for over a year. The latch on it had long since lost its key, and I had to pry open the lid with a crowbar. The trunk, at first inspection, appeared to be empty, but the fact was it had a false bottom. In the space under that bottom, I found some 40 small books, all hand-printed and bound with sewing thread. Each story and poem depicted a bit of cowboy history as told through the imagination of one man. No doubt many of these were derived from tales Rounder had heard from his father and the men of the early trail days as he was growing up. A few of these books were incomplete, some due to damage to the fragile paper they were written on, while others had been chewed on by rodents, and some were simply not finished. Although entirely fiction, I'm sure, these stories and poems provide a glimpse into a way of life that lasted but a few years. After some considerable time in search of kin and having no success, I took it upon myself to publish these accounts of the early days of the cattle trails. The ones that were incomplete I attempted to finish, keeping as faithful to the original tone as possible. The more I worked with these depictions of the old trail days, the more I came to appreciate, if not envy, the life they portrayed. It was a special time in the early development of our country, a time that produced a breed of men of little worldly worth, but of enormous moral stature and great individual courage. By today's social standards, we would most likely judge them harshly, calling them uneducated and crude, but that would be to grossly misjudge. If nothing else, they were men as resourceful as ever lived, men who took something wild and dangerous and moved it closer to what we now call civilization. They endured hardships beyond our modern imagination, passing on a legacy of individuality and loyalty to a way of life that will live in the hearts of a few forever. I truly hope you enjoy the tales and poems of Rounder M.A. Dilla. I'm Tex Carroll.